everyone, my name is Sam Willens, your mother of Valkyries and your host of the Sword and the Ribbon podcast. Today on the podcast, I will be chatting with Valkyrie Megan. She is a vet tech, fellow nerd, ACOTAR lover like us all, and Valkyrie Squad member. And as an active member in our community Discord, her story has inspired other Valkyries, so I asked her to share it with all of you. A quick trigger warning on this episode. This episode contains discussion and themes about eating disorders, diets, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, body weight, body composition, pain, mental illness, and other symptoms and discussions relating to the above topics. If any of those topics are something that will upset you or cause any type of negative impact, I would recommend skipping this episode. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Sam.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's start off with the introductory chapter of your story. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and how did you find the Valkyrie Squad?
Well, my name is Megan. I live in Pennsylvania with my wonderful husband. As you mentioned, I am a vet tech. And I found the Valkyrie Squad, honestly, through TikTok. I found I think it was one of your TikToks about the Geek Gym. And it was the Infinity Stone Challenge, I think it was.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I wanted something different to do for like a workout, something that was going to gauge my attention. And I was like, this is Marvel. This is totally me. And I was like, this is totally up my alley. So I started off with the Geek Gym, and then you announced that you were doing Valkyrie Squad. And I was like, oh, this girl had me at swords and combat training. I'm like, where do I sign up? Take my money, take my soul if that's what it needs. I will do it. My inner child was like, we get to play with swords. This is awesome.
I love that. I remember you telling me you found me through the Marvel stuff, but I completely forgot until this moment because it's in my brain. Did you know I had a Marvel core program too?
No, I didn't. I joined the Geek Gym, and I saw you didn't just have Marvel, you had Star Wars, you had Supernatural, and I was like, this woman is my soulmate. She speaks to me on a level that she understands my geekiness, but then she turns it into a workout where I'm like, I could totally do this.
Okay, so because you brought up Supernatural, which Winchester is your favorite?
Oh, definitely Dean.
Always Dean. Always here for the pie.
Yes. Oh, that is one man that could ruin my life, and I would be so happy.
Oh, it's a shame he's so happily married. I mean,
I know. So am I, but and somewhere in the multiverse, maybe.
Yes, there's an alternate. Maybe not the one at the was it season 15 where his alternate version comes out all slicked and swat oh my God, I just have such a faint memory. I just remember Sammy with his little man bun and scarf.
Oh my God. Yes.
So we'll circle back. Oh, we'll come back all to things geeky, but I do see your pets running around behind you. I've heard them. How many do you have and what are all their names?
I have 7. We did have 8, but we lost one in December. But my oldest is Bailey. Bailey Josette, she's 15. And then we have Kenna Faye.
These names.
Yes, I'm a dog mom, so of course they have to have middle names. I have Riley Rue, Isla Michaela, and Ira Manu. They're all my dogs. And then we have 2 cats. We have Oberyn, if anybody knows Game of Thrones.
Yes.
He is a viper. That's why he got his name. He likes to pow your feet from underneath the sofa. He's nailed my husband a number of times at night. You just hear him go, "Goddamn cat!" at 2 a.m. I'm like, yeah, he's a little viper. And then we have Cammie. She is our garage cat. She showed up when my husband's garage burned down last year. We lost a business, but we gained a cat. I don't know how that kind of correlates. I think we made out a little bit better in the end of the bargain with the cat, but my husband might tell you differently.
I think that's a great bargain if I could have a cat.
Yeah, totally. They're spicy and I just love them.
We love a good spice.
We do.
Wow, you've got a little brood there.
We have a zoo.
I love it though.
I'm trying to convince my husband to get Highland cows We're not there yet.
They're so cute.
I know. I'm trying. I'm very hard. I'm trying very hard to convince him. I told him when he goes on a hunting trip, I was like, you may come home to Highland cows in the yard. Your uncle has already told me he'd help me build the pen, so there are plans.
I mean, I feel like it's only right if you're like a vet tech, you obviously have a love for animals. So like you need all the animals.
Of course, it's a requirement.
It has to be. Well, I'm here for all the farm building, the zoo building, whatever. I hope you get your Highland cow, and then I want to come visit.
You are more than welcome. My door is always open.
Okay, so enough pet chat. So you've obviously been in this program since the beginning.
Yes, since September.
What month is this? This is June.
We're in June.
I was like,
I think it's been 9 months.
Yeah, I'd say like it's almost a year. Like, how does it feel being in this program for almost a year?
It doesn't feel like it's been a year. It went by so fast, and it feels amazing to be part of something like this. And you probably get sick and tired of me telling you this because I message you all the time about how great you are and how great this program is and how life-changing it has been. And I'm probably sure you read my messages and you roll your eyes and you're like, okay, I know.
No, never. It's your messages always come on the days or the moments where I'm feeling really overwhelmed or down about like whatever I'm building or like doubting myself. So like you always come into my DMs at like the exact moment I need it. And I don't like take the time to tell you that. I think like yesterday, like I texted you like I love you. That was like it.
And I just sent you back a Dean Winchester meme, just like winking.
Yes, all the Dean Winchester gifts back and forth. But like seriously, like your messages come at the exact moments, and I think like you've been through the entire program. But like for any of our listeners who haven't gotten to that point, and I'm sure you hear it pretty early on when I was recording, that I had so much doubt when I was building the program because it was a massive task for me to take on, but I didn't know if people would like this. And with this whole like new website change too, I told people, I was like, I thought this was going to be like 30 people. Like I thought having 2 platforms was going to be totally doable.
Oh, you severely underestimated yourself in how this was going to blow up the way that it did.
1,000%. So like when your messages come in and you tell me like how much this has impacted you and how grateful you are, like I am so grateful for your messages because I have zero. I don't see it all the time because I'm in my head trying to build something or try to work something out, and I don't know. It means a lot to me, even if I don't like directly say it.
Oh, we can feel it in the spice. We feel your love.
Okay.
Each new level you came out with, like when you came out with ataraxia, I was like, oh, she loves us. Some days I was like, could she love us less? This is painful. And I'm just like, it hurts, but I love it.
The spice ratings on those ones. Like I know we already have spice ratings on the videos now, but like we need like what each like chili pepper means. we need like a guide so that we now know what those peppers mean.
You give it away because like I hear that little like devious chuckle right before we're about to do a set, and I'm like, I'm in danger.
I half hear it in my own head. I'm like, oh shit. Oh well.
Or like I'll hear you often. You'll just be like, oh, I did that, and I'm like, oh no, this is gonna hurt, but I'm gonna like it.
I don't know if you've read it yet, but if any listeners have read it, 2 days ago I filmed the 4th wing workout, and I am still so sore. And I was like, oh shit, what did I do?
I have not. That is on my to be read list. That list is massively long right now, but and being involved in the Discord does not help because I go to the book thread and I'm just like, I'm never gonna financially recover from this because I need all these books. Thank God my husband built me a library.
Okay, like we're just running all over the place, but like your library is fucking beautiful. I am so jealous.
It is like my favorite thing in my house besides my covered porch. I can't speak of my husband enough. Like, he is wonderful. And the fact that he supports that behavior and he's just like, he's like, you could have a completely, like, utter differently addiction. And he was like, if it's books, that's fine. I support you. I will give you a library. And I was like, really? Like, this is amazing.
Every book lover's dream. But is it all right? Can I share your photos of your library on Instagram?
Certainly. There's more coming because he's building me another shelf. Because he already built me a big bookshelf and I've already filled it. And my husband's like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, we need another one, please.
Okay, so describe for our listeners what your library looks like right now. And then they can go to Instagram and see the photos.
So in my head, in my concept, we mentioned it briefly, I'm kind of really big into Star Wars and Marvel and Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. And I'm like one of the biggest geeks that there is. And I love it about myself. And I wanted to make a library that incorporated everything that I loved about certain fandoms. So currently I have like vines hanging from my ceiling that's for like Lothlorien, for like Lord of the Rings. I have the floating candles for Harry Potter with the wand. I saw that you have it, Sam, and I was like, I need that. I need it immediately. I have blue butterflies on the ceiling that glow at night. And that is for Star Wars, for Chandrila. That's where Ben Solo was born. And yeah, that's another man that could wreck my life. Apparently I have a type. And I'm trying to think what else there is. I don't know if I shared it, but I did get a couple stand-ups, like the cardboard stand-ups.
Oh, yes,
that are now in my room. Yeah, my husband's like, that's not creepy at all. I have Bucky Barnes, another man. Once again, I have a type. I have Kylo Ren, and I have Legolas from Lord of the Rings. I'm eyeing up a Dean Winchester one right now, but we're going to hold off on that for right now.
I don't know why, but sure.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, like why? Okay, so we'll continue on with your love of fandoms. So some quick, fun, rapid-fire questions. Are you ready for them?
Yes.
Favorite Star Wars movie and why?
Oh, I can't pick. That's like picking your favorite child.
Okay, which trilogy is your favorite?
Oh, I'm going to have to say probably the original. So like your New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Not to say I don't love them all. I mean, I do have my issues with the last three. I think anybody who is a big Star Wars fan does have issues. Not just because they did my man Ben dirty, but just they kind of went off script. And I think anybody who watches or knows Star Wars are like, yeah, we liked it, but it could have been better.
That could be its own podcast on its own.
Oh, yeah.
But would you rather be a Jedi or a Sith?
Oh, see, when I was a kid, I was like Jedi all the way, running around the house in a bathrobe with a wooden spoon, pretending to be a Jedi. As I'm getting older, I think I'm like starting to enter like my Sith era. Because my tendency for like just trying to solve my things with violence, like we were having an issue with me logging in today, and I'm like, I'm going to smash this computer with a hammer. That is not Jedi-like behavior.
No. I completely agree. I'm like, oh, Jedi would be great. Jedi is awesome. And then I'm like, I have zero control over my emotions. I'm not a Jedi at all.
No. And I try to hold that in, but then it just doesn't work.
Nope.
Good
for all the Jedis out there. I
would love to be, like I say all the time, I would love to be the Jedi, but I think I'm in my Sith era right now.
We love it. So moving on to your other love, Marvel. Who is your favorite character and why?
It's gotta be Bucky. Like I said, I have a type. I don't know. It's bad. I mean, that's my favorite man. If I have to go with female, I like Wanda, but my favorite is slowly becoming Yelena. Because she reminds me so much of myself. Just the sarcasm.
I can see that.
It's the Irish.
Yes, I can see that completely. Which Marvel movie do you think is the most underrated?
Oh, you got some good ones. Ones that are making me think.
We gotta exercise the mind too sometimes.
We do. It's the mind stilling. I'm gonna say Age of Ultron, maybe. I hear people say that it wasn't their favorite, but the amount of setup that movie had to do,
That is true.
introducing new characters and trying to incorporate, the Infinity Stones, and there was a lot going on in that movie that I feel like people just really didn't appreciate.
When we were typing up your questions, I was like, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't have one.
Well, I feel like you could ask 100 people and get 100 different answers.
Oh, complete. I think that's like a big debate over on like TikTok. Like I see it all the time of like random videos of like their most underrated things that they think.
Oh yeah, and I think Captain Marvel too. I feel like was a little underrated, just because I think it released at such a time where it was like right after Infinity War, and it was like right in between those two movies, and I think people were just like really excited to figure out who got blipped. That they were just like, oh, it's just has nothing to do with what we want to see right now.
Yeah, it was kind of just a weird interjection if it came at a different time. Like kind of like with Black Widow, her movie too. Like if it had come at a different time, it would have.
Oh, it would have been 100 times better.
Way better. Like it would have just flowed in the timeline better, at least in my point of view.
Exactly. You get me.
Yes, I got you. So another one of your loves.
I have many.
You have so many, and I love all of it. Do you prefer Lord of the Rings trilogy or the Hobbit trilogy movies?
You're asking a lot of hard ones.
I know.
I love them both for very different reasons. I think because they came at two different times of my life. But if I had to choose one, I would definitely say the original trilogies, so the Lord of the Rings.
On top of that, like, where in Middle Earth would you live if you could live anywhere?
My heart wants to say Rivendell, because I would like to believe, like, I would be, like, this really pretty, graceful, like, fairy. But if I have to be honest, it would be Hobbiton. There's just something about a culture that you're allowed to eat, like, 12 square meals a day, and you could be, like, short and happy. Like, I'm all for it.
So my sisters and I had that, like, similar discussion of, like, if we were in Middle Earth, who would we be? And I think my sister Becca said that she would be a hobbit, which makes 100% like just makes sense. Like she's our little mind stiller. She's very homey and makes things. Alina is our more adventurous. So we're like, oh, she could be maybe an elf. And then they looked at me. They're like, Sissy, you could be. We know you want to be like Legolas, but we know that's not possible. We know you're not graceful enough for that. I was like, nah. And they're like, and you're short. I was like, thanks. They're like, you'd be a dwarf. I was like,
I mean, that's better than my husband's reaction. He was like, you would probably be a cave troll.
oh,
He was like, just like, and he meant it in a humorous way. He was just like, yeah, he goes, just because, he goes, you're not very graceful. He was like, you're just all over the place. He goes, you come barging into rooms and knock things over. He's like, you would be a cave troll. He was like, he goes, and I'm Boromir. Like, they have a cave troll. Like, it's just, that's how we show our love. We just insult each other. He fits into the family very well.
I understand that completely too. It's how my husband and I work.
My brother and I are the exact same way. We enter a room and it's just insults flying across the board.
Oh yeah, my sister's Alina's fiance is like, he's like, your family's also mean to each other, but they're also loving about it. It's like, I don't understand.
I get you 100%. If we're nice to each other, something's wrong.
My father-in-law called me out a couple times. He's like, you weren't sarcastic. Are you okay? Like,
oh
I'm
yeah,
just tired. I've given up on life. I'm just here.
I feel that some days. When the sass is gone, something's wrong.
Exactly. You've just given up all hope.
Yep. Just throwing it caution to the wind. It's just
exactly
fine. We'll just accept it.
Yes. So our final rapid fire question that had so many tangents on them. Which Archeron sister do you identify with the most?
Oh, Nesta. 100%. I'd hate to say it, but I can be a lot like her. I've heard people call her a bitch, and I'm like, but I kind of like that about her. And I feel it.
I know. My sisters are like, oh, she's a fucking bitch. And they're like, so they'll text me and they'll be like, Sissy, your Nesta is showing. I'm like, that's rude, but fuck off.
Exactly. And I think I relate to her in a way because how she deals with trauma is very similar to the way I will deal with trauma. and it's not always in a healthy way. I do lash out. My poor husband, he will attest to that. He's been on the other end of that wrath a lot of times. And I feel like you can call Nesta whatever you want and it bounces off of her because it's not anything worse than what she's called herself. And I think I resonate with that because it's like, you can call me whatever you want. I'm 10 times more harder on myself. So it doesn't faze me. And that could come off as bitchiness, but it's not.
You have it's like you have thick skin, but at the same time, like it's not
It's
the healthiest. Yeah.
Like, you have thick skin because you beat yourself up. So it's like, you're going to have to hit me a little harder because...
Yeah, you're gonna try a little harder. Like, I've dealt with worse. It's fine.
I beat my own ass on the daily, so, like...
Completely. So, speaking of ACOTAR, is it true you got a tattoo lately? Or recently?
I did. 2 weeks ago.
Amazing. And you told me it was ink therapy, correct?
Yes, ink therapy.
Ink therapy is the best, but what did you get?
The most recent one that I got, it was on my rib cage, on either side, and it basically is 2 ACOTAR quotes. The one is, "You do not fear, you do not falter, you do not yield." And on the other side, it says, "Only you can decide what breaks you." Those 2 quotes resonate with me very deeply. It's kind of like a twofer. It represents my struggles dealing with weight and dealing with, having a mom battling cancer and whatever other traumas have come up in my life. And then it's also like really good for like ACOTAR and the journey that Nesta goes through that kind of resembles my own. The program, a lot of the times in your workouts, you're like, nope, I will not yield. I will not, falter. I will not surrender. I will sit here in this plank for as long as Sam makes me, and I will not bend.
I will not break my form.
I might break my legs, but I will do this. We will not let Sam down. We will not let myself down. It will not break me.
I love it. I love that these tattoos just symbolize so much for you and how much the program has impacted you. Again, like we talked about in the beginning, like you messaging me all these stuff. So we're going to get into some of that now for all of our listeners. What is the biggest impact the program has on your life?
I would say 100% confidence. And it's not like I stepped off the mat the first day and was like, ooh, I'm amazing. It slowly builds your confidence up to a point where, like, I feel so much better about myself. And even my husband and people around me have said to me, they're like, you're just more confident than you ever were. And the community that you built just really helps you mentally and physically, and just all around. It just makes you a better, more confident person. And I don't know if that was your intention, but that's what happened.
It was a happy byproduct to talk about the program or what I was building for a moment. Like, it was just a happy byproduct. I just wanted people to feel good. And it was never my like main focus to be like, oh, like you're gonna like feel like, it wasn't my main, like, I guess marketing focus was like, you're gonna feel confident. You're gonna feel like, it was just more like, you're gonna feel like a badass. You're gonna feel like a character. And then I think like, yeah, I think you were one of now there's many, but in the beginning there was a handful of you that messaged me how much your lives had changed from just working out. And I think that's something I had never imagined happening. Granted, like I've talked about this before, but like maybe I have. I feel like I talk about it one-on-one maybe, but I actually don't know if I immortalized it in an episode. But I talk about like how fitness has always been a constant and like something that's always made me feel strong and empowered. I didn't expect it to actually like follow through my videos and through this program and like just portray itself out into the screen, which is, again, like a happy byproduct.
It's one of the greatest things I think that you can take away from a workout is something that not only challenges you, but you create it in such a way that anybody could walk into this program no matter what their fitness level was. And the first day on the mat, you didn't leave there going, oh my God, I'm like shit. Like, you left there feeling good. Like, it may have kicked your ass, but it wasn't enough to discourage you from getting up the next day and doing it over again. And you were like, I made it that far. Like, I did better than I thought I was going to do. and tomorrow is going to be even better. And what I love about you is when you get up in the morning and you're working out, you feel like you're working out with a friend. And you're laughing and and I never thought I would be the person that would say I enjoy working out, but I do.
I mean, I love that you all like gain confidence and everything, but I love actually reading like the messages being of like from you or other people saying like I love working out now. Like I think that brings me the most joy out of out of anything I've ever created is that people wake up in the morning and are excited to work out because I oops knocked my microphone because I've made something. My brainchild is just as wild as I am, so it was just
It's amazing how something like that can make you so happy to work out. And it's something that's different. And I love that all of your videos, even aside from Valkyrie Squad, you don't focus on weight loss. I don't think I've ever heard in any of your videos, like, oh, you're going to do this move and it's going to make you lose weight in your stomach, or you're going to lose weight in your legs, or this is going to do this for weight loss. And I like that. For somebody who struggled with an eating disorder, and I actually, believe it or not, I didn't really admit that until I entered the program. And my mind went back and I was like, yeah, I had a problem. And it's so nice to enter a space where you're not thinking about weight loss. It's about becoming stronger, not smaller. And it just completely shifts.
I love like talking about being strong because like it means so much more than weight loss. Even if it's just I could because I'm that person. I'm sure you probably are too. You want to bring all the groceries in one go. Like why make 5 trips in back and forth from the car?
Is there any other way to do it? I don't know any other
I
way.
Like my husband looks at me, he's like, "Why do you need to carry all the bags in one go?" I was like, "Because it's just I don't know, but it makes you feel strong." And like I'm sure you now, like especially now, will feel this, but like my husband loves telling like at the grocery store, like they're the big heavy bags, and he'll be like, "No, give them to her." And like he does it partly because he wants to see their reaction because it sounds like such a dick thing to say, but he knows that that makes me happy to feel strong, that
Mm-hmm.
I can be the person that's like, no, fuck that, give me all the bags. And it's fun, and like that means something more to me, and like making sure that you all feel strong, that you feel strong, and could like your husband could then say, no, give her the heavy bags and watch everyone go like, what the fuck.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I see it at work a lot, being a vet tech.
Oh yeah, you pick up all the animals.
Yes, like lifting dogs up on like the surgery table or on like the x-ray table. I'm always like, I got this. Give me the big dog. I got it. I got this. And they're like, do you need help? I'm like, no, I got this.
Isn't it such a great feeling?
Yes. I'm like, I didn't train to be a Valkyrie for nothing. Like, I don't have a village to guard around here, so let me pick up the big dog, okay? I got this. And I work with all women. The only person that is a male that I work with is my boss. And I'm always like, stand aside, I got this. And he's just like, okay. And even clients in the room will be like, do you want to lift that dog up for her? And he's like, no, let her do it.
That's it sounds so silly, but I love that reaction so much. It just brings me, I'm like, haha.
And the clients like look at him like, wow, you're a dick. You're letting her pick up the big dog? And I'm just like sitting there grinning from like ear to ear, like, yeah, I did that. I got this.
Totally. So do you mind if we talk about how the program has specifically changed how you view your body, specifically with your PCOS? And can you explain what PCOS is?
Sure. PCOS stands for Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. It's a condition of the ovarian reproductive system which has some wide and varied symptoms amongst the people who have it. It's very hard to diagnose. You know, PCOS has an impact on the endocrine system in the bodies, affected by it, as the hormones are produced by the ovaries are imbalanced and therefore affects the body in a wide variety of ways. Some common symptoms include immovable weight gain, insulin resistance, bloating, skin conditions, excessive body hair, hair loss. Small disclaimer here, if you think you may have PCOS, please contact your doctor. The discussion is purely for information sharing and not meant to diagnose anybody without the guidance of a physician. I have like a wide range of those symptoms, and it doesn't help that I also have endometriosis on top of it. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's also an endocrine disorder where the lining of your uterus grows on the outside of your body and it attaches to other organs. A lot of people who have PCOS and usually have endometriosis too, they have pretty much the same symptoms. For me, it's definitely weight gain. I could like drive past a McDonald's and gain 10 pounds. Like it's terrible. I have facial hair, sometimes it grows. Hair loss, definitely. Anybody else who has it knows like the fatigue is real. Like there are days where like you literally have to like amp yourself to get out of bed and you're like get up and you're like, well, for pie? Will you get up for pie? Like just, you literally have to bribe yourself some days. So the fatigue is real. Pain. Oh my, I don't envy anybody who has the pain that it comes with. That time of the month is always murder. And I know they say too, they're like, oh, you know, when you have a menstrual period, you're only supposed to lose like a tablespoon of blood. And I'm like, whoever measured mine used a ladle.
I had no idea for the longest time that you were only supposed to lose like a tablespoon of blood. I have fibroids and I had no idea. Like I thought my period was normal. I did not realize that it was not normal.
I think the sad thing is when in the medical industry, especially when it comes to women, like I don't think our pain is taken very seriously. They're just like, it's a period. Like it's supposed to be painful. Deal with it. And a lot of the times you're just like, no, this pain is not normal. It should not feel like somebody is stabbing me with a hot poker. It shouldn't feel like when I get like menstrual cramps, like not only is it in like the front of my stomach, it's in my back, it's in my shoulders, it's in my neck. To the point where like I'm literally in the bathroom dry heaving because I just get so nauseous. And I'm like, that is not normal. And they're like, you just have a low pain tolerance. No, there's something wrong. I can't say enough to people, like, you need to be your own advocate. And if you truly feel like something is wrong, it doesn't matter how many doctors you need to switch. You need to find somebody who's going to listen to you.
Completely. And it's hard to find that, which is disheartening.
It is. I think I went through like 4 or 5 doctors before somebody would finally like listen to me and be like, yeah, okay, it is not normal that you're changing your pad like 3 to 4 times in an hour. That's not normal.
You advocate that a lot in Discord. I see you hop into the channel and other Valkyries with PCOS or anything of the sorts, and you advocate like go find more doctors, go get third, fourth, sixth opinions because you went through it.
Yeah, you do, and it's sad that that's the lengths you have to go to.
And you listen to it, the sword and the therapist, like even just talking about like mental health and like having to find help for that, like it's so hard, and we could go on a whole tangent on that. we'll try to rein that in. I'm sure everyone feels that pain, that kind of pain, but what's it like trying to work out or have goals for your body when you know it functions differently than the quote unquote norm?
It's hard. It's really hard to stay motivated, especially like if you come into the program and your mindset is solely on losing weight. When you have PCOS, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And coming to realize the fact that some of the bodies that you look at, you know, whether it be in social media or on TV or just out in the general world, your body's never going to look like that. And like take you for example, Sam, I'm not trying to single you out, but you're absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I would kill to have what your body looks like. I would. But I'm not built that way. And that is okay. And it doesn't mean that your body is wrong or my body's wrong or your body's right and mine. We're all built different.
100%.
And it's learning to accept that and that your body works different. Your body looks different. You know, I unfortunately have what my grandma calls the grass curse. We were born with, you know, big boobs, big hips, big thighs, and a big butt. No matter how much you work out, that is not going away. That is genetics.
Yes.
I was built to guard a village. I am built like 1400 Irish settlers still running from the English. I have enough fat stored that I can run for days. But it's learning that your body is built different. It works different. And that you just need to find the tools to help your body be the healthiest that it can be. And with PCOS and endometriosis, it's a journey. And I remember listening to the podcast where I think it was Mariah who talked about like nutrition wasn't linear, like it's not a one size fits all. And for PCOS, it's the same thing. Like what works for somebody else may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for that other person. And there's so many different treatments, and I hear so many people talk about different diets to go on with PCOS. Some people tell you that like you need to do low carb. Some say you get rid of sugar. Some say go on Atkins, intermittent fasting. Then some people say do like the Mediterranean diet, and then other people are like, no, that doesn't work. So you have all this information out there that you need to weed through to try to figure out what works for you, and it's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
I imagine. I mean, it tends to be a hot topic in all of our episodes. I feel like is how do you weed through nutrition? How do you weed through what's right for your body, like of fitness wise? Or it's just so there's such an overload of information, and everyone does not take into account that each person is a bio individual, and that everybody is going to work extremely different from everybody. Fitness, nutrition, it's not one size fits all.
Yep. Walking into this fitness journey with a mindset of not focusing on a number on a scale. And I think the greatest thing that I ever did was I literally threw out my scale and I was like, we're not looking at it because that doesn't mean anything. The number doesn't define me. It doesn't mean you're healthy. It doesn't mean you're not healthy. It's a number. It is an arbitrary number that means nothing. And what I tried to look at in my workouts is, am I holding planks longer? Am I having to level up in weights? Did something that I do in a previous video that was hard for me suddenly became like, oh, okay, this is no big deal. You need to focus on that and not so much a number. Because that number on that scale may not be moving, but you are improving.
I think that's great advice for anyone coming into the program or starting any type of journey is, we'll say it again, we're using our swords to chop down toxic fitness, nutrition, everything, all of that stuff. Breaking that tradition, chopping it down and rewriting it for yourself is so important.
It brainwashes you. And I know like toxic diet culture can be a whole another separate podcast on its own, but it's really breaking away from that toxic cycle that it kind of traps you in, and to constantly making you feel like your body's not good enough.
So you've mentioned it already a couple of times. Can you elaborate a bit more about your experience with toxic fitness and diet culture, and like what your journey through all of that has been?
Sure. It started in my 20s. So I've always been built bigger. I've always been curvy. It's just how the women in my family have been blessed. And I always heard like that stereotypical comment, the backhanded one that's like, oh, you're such a pretty girl, but you would be so much prettier like if you would lose the weight. And it not only came from outsiders, but it did come from certain family members too. And I think a lot of the times it does come from a place of like love, but it's not. And it didn't really start affecting me until I was in my 20s. And, you know, like any 20-year-old, like you want to start dating and you want to start getting out in the world. And you're like, well, maybe people are right. You know, maybe if I lost a little bit of weight, you know, maybe it'd be easier to find somebody. Not to mention I live in the boonies. So it's kind of like my weight had nothing to do with that. It's just that there was not a lot of men in 10 square miles. But, but I went on a weight loss, decided I wanted to lose weight, and that mindset in itself isn't healthy. I should have entered it into a mindset of I want to get healthy, but I was young and dumb, as we all are at some point in our life. Some of us are still there.
I was like, am I old and dumb now?
I don't know.
Is that what we call it now? It's not as cute sounding.
But I entered into this weight loss journey, and I had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely none. And people are always like, oh, we'll just take whatever you're eating and cut it in half. Okay, so I did that. Lost some weight, but eventually you plateau, and then they were like, oh, we'll just cut it in half again, because you're probably still eating too much. Okay. Well, fast forward to me only eating anywhere between 600 to 900 calories a day. Saying that in my out loud now sounds, I'm like, wow, you were dumb.
But you didn't know any better, and our society wasn't telling us otherwise. So like, you're not 100% to blame.
And I think a lot of things that suck too is I would go to doctors and they would be like, "Oh my god, you're losing weight." And I'd be like, "Yeah, well this is what I'm doing." And they're like, "Well, obviously it's working." Nobody cautioned you that's like you're not eating enough. You're not fueling your body. They just saw that you're losing weight and it's like, "Great, you're on the right path." So nobody took my hand and guided me and was like, "No, you're headed for a breakdown." And fast forward to me doing that for about under a year, and I lost a lot of weight. I was down to like 112, maybe 114 pounds, which did not look good on me at all. You probably could have put, gray paint on my face and hung me outside for Halloween, and I would have looked like a ghoul. Like, it was bad. And I still thought I was fat. Yeah, I still thought. I was like, nope, I have to lose more. I have to lose more. And when the light finally clicked was when I passed out in the shower.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my mom found me passed out in the shower. And my mom will always say like that was like the scariest moment of her life, because had I fallen a different way, I would have went through the glass sliding doors. And at that point, I still would have told you I didn't have a problem. I was like, "Nope, it's fine." Like the water was too hot. I made up any excuse to not stop what I was doing. And then a couple weeks went by and I passed out at work. And at this time, I was going to school full time, trying to become a vet tech, and I worked 2 jobs to put myself through school. And that particular day, I had left school and I was on my way to work, and I didn't eat lunch that day. And now, mind you, my breakfast that morning was probably like a protein bar for an 8-hour day. And my job is physically demanding, so you're lifting, you're wrestling, you're constantly moving. And I was restraining an animal, and lucky enough, I had enough foresight to like look at the girl who I was working with, and I said, "I feel like I'm going to pass out." And I hit the floor. My boss ended up actually catching me. And that to me was a wake up call, because I'm like, I can't be doing this. Like, something needs to change. And it was also too, I kind of started to realize, like, because I was so small, I didn't have any muscle. So I wasn't able to lift those big dogs up on tables. I wasn't able to restrain like I'm supposed to, because most of the dogs that were coming in weighed more than I did and had more muscle than I did. And I kind of woke up and I was like, this isn't good. Like, this isn't healthy. And I had to switch my mindset and flash forward to, me trying to learn how to be healthy and eat right and eat the calories that I'm supposed to. And I did gain more weight than I wanted to. Got diagnosed with, PCOS and endometriosis. And I think the damage of me restricting my calories so much really switched my body into starvation mode, to the point where it was like, we're going to hold on to whatever calories you give us and we're going to store it like a squirrel hoarding nuts for the winter. And it did. I gained about 30, 40 pounds. It was scary. And that's why whenever Valkyries come on and they talk about weight and stuff like that, I really, really try to like encourage that. Do your research, talk to people. Please don't do it the way that I did, because I always think in the back of my head, like, what would have happened if I would have passed out behind the wheel of a car? I could have hurt myself or I could have hurt somebody else, because I didn't have the tools that I needed. And because I was chasing that number on a scale that for some reason diet culture says, you need to be super, super skinny. And I was chasing that versus listening to what my body was telling me. It's a cautionary tale. I can laugh about it now.
And you laugh about it and you share about it, and that's why I love like seeing you pop up in Discord in Mount Ramiel a lot, about sharing your story and sharing your journey, imparting your words of wisdom, your cauldron blessed wisdom. We should stay on brand.
You can call it a cautionary tale, because I always say, like, don't do what I did. Please don't. It's not worth it.
No. It's just something that I think everyone needs to hear at some point, wherever they are in their journey. That, like, luckily for you, it didn't get to a more outwardly harmful situation. Granted, you were essentially harming yourself.
It's on brand. My internesto was showing.
But yeah, that's just how you were dealing with it all, and at least no one around you got physically hurt or anything like that. And it's amazing that you had one foresight to know when you were going to pass out, but you were able to flip that switch in yourself, because a lot of people don't have like they don't see it until it's way too late.
I think a major thing was listening to my parents, and I started dating my husband at the time, and even he was like, "You're too small. Like it's not. That doesn't look. It doesn't look healthy." And he didn't mean it in a negative way. It was just like, "You're not. Something's not right, and you need to fix it." And I'm happy that I eventually did listen, but it took for me to pass out, for me to like flip that switch, and I was like, yeah, something is wrong. Because up until that point, I would have told you I didn't have a problem. I just, I ate, but I just worked out a lot. But I did work out a lot. I was working out 7 days a week, 2 hours a day, but only eating 600 to 900 calories a day.
That's not enough.
No. But I didn't know any better. Like, nobody gave me a number and was like, you should be eating this. But all society saw was I was losing weight. And I think worse than any drug was listening to people tell me, like, oh my God, you lost weight. You look amazing. Like, wow, you lost a lot of weight. And you're just like, yeah. You just get like that adrenaline high, and you're like, yeah, I did. But it wasn't healthy. And getting into this program was really, really nice to have a place that was safe, that didn't focus on weight loss. It gave you the tools that you need to build a healthier you, whatever that body looks like. And I love that.
That was so beautifully said.
Thank you.
Well, like take that out and pop that on the website. That's our review.
You were more than happy to. And I love how all of the Valkyries in the Discord, like, we help each other. So we're constantly sharing, like, recipes and, tips and, like, just things to help you progress in the program. But it's not like, oh, by the way, you should only be eating XYZ. It's just amazing how this group not only helps you, but you get to help others. And we build each other up and create bodies that are healthy and strong and badass and not cookie cutter as what other fitness places want you to look like.
Well, you just blew past my bullet point, so I won't even.
Sorry.
It was all so naturally progressed. I'm like, wow, I didn't have to say anything. So I love just everything you said. And to change our Lyrian flight path just a teeny bit, you mentioned in Discord a while ago, I think it was at the beginning of this year, about how a man at work belittled you, and you were able to channel what you've learned from the squad to respond. Can you tell us all that story?
Oh, I would like to say which time, because unfortunately,
oh shit,
working in the veterinary industry, anybody I think who works in customer service can have the same kind of takeaway. But in the veterinary field, like, I've been called more names in the past 3 years than I think I've been called in my 33 years of life.
That's appalling.
I have been talked down to. I have been screamed at. I've been called every name in the book. But this one particular guy, I think it's the one that you're referring to, he brought his dog in, and he was just very condescending from the beginning. And didn't like the fact that I was a woman, I was automatically beneath him. And I remember he asked a question, and I was trying to answer, and he literally looked at me and he was just like, "You're being a smartass now, aren't you?" And I was just like, "You asked a question and I was trying to answer." I'm like, well, of course, me being sassy, I'm like, well, I'd rather be a smartass than a dumb one. He literally, like, we got to a point where I was still talking, and he tried to talk over me, and that's when my inner Irish kicks in. And I'm Irish and Scottish, so
wonderful combination.
Yes, I'm Irish, Scottish, and German, so I'm like, oh dear Lord, you poor man, my poor husband. But like my inner self kicked in, and he literally looked at me and he was just like, "Shush, the man is talking." If I could have like reached out and force choked him, I wish I had that ability because I think I would have.
And this is why you're a Sith. We get it.
Totally. Like Kylo Ren slamming helmet into the wall type anger. And normally when I was a baby tech, like I would cower away from that. And I would just be like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry." Like, become a wallflower. But this like inner me comes out and I'm just like, "No, we're not doing that. Like, I'm talking. You're not going to talk over me. You asked a question. I'm trying to answer you. And if you don't like what I have to say, then there's the door. Please don't let it hit you on the way out." And sadly, like, I can't go into too much detail, of course, because of my profession, but this happens a lot. And being in the Valkyrie Squad, I find myself not only advocating more for myself, but advocating more for my team. And I'll be the one that usually steps up and I'm like, "No, we're not taking this shit today." When normally I would have like went off in the corner and been like, "Yeah, no, we're not going to get involved in this." But I'm the one going out there and, going toe to toe with clients to try and advocate a better workforce for the vet tech community. I don't know if anybody knows, but we actually have one of the highest suicide rates in any profession because emotional fatigue and burnout is real. And just how clients are, it can push you to a point where, there's been many a vet tech who have sadly taken their own lives, and even vets. And it's sad. And I don't know what has happened in the past 3 years that have made people so feral that they don't know how to act in society anymore. And to think that it's okay to talk to people the way they talk to them, but it's bad. But this program is kind of giving me the tools to kind of like become my inner badass and stand up to people and just be like, "No, we're not doing this today. No, ma'am, or sir, whatever you are. It's not right."
Yeah, I remember you telling me that specific story. It was actually when we had just recorded episode 2 of the podcast, and I was super emotional that day. So, like I said, you like come at you like DM at like the right time. So I'm like, how do you do this?
I don't know. I feel your emotions down like the bond from like Mother of Valkyries to like her Valkyrie child. Like we feel it. We're like, there's a disturbance in the force.
Oh
Sam
God,
needs a pick me up. Sam needs a pick me up.
I applaud the references. Okay, I see why you get my humor now.
Totally.
I see it. I get it. But no, like it came at the right moment, and like I remember I messaged you for permission to use something you had said in Discord, but I had just completely ignored the chat and didn't see in the main channels that you had written about this incident. And I was like, I feel like an asshole. I'm like selfishly like being like, can I use this in a podcast to promote? And then you're like having this horrible, shitty day. And I was like, I'm an asshole. I'm sorry.
No.
Well, yeah, I remember I apologized and you were like, no. And like you were retelling me the story. And I was just so like, definitely a Mama Valkyrie. I was like, I am so proud. I think I sent you a bunch of like mom gifts. I was like, yeah,
you did.
That's my baby. It stuck so clear in my mind. And I was like, like if anything else out of this program, if you get just being strong in any sense, like it's so incredible. And it's life-changing for me to know that that's just coming out through this program.
That should be on the warning label. Like may come with, increased confidence and sassiness. Like it just...
Didn't you write that on one of my TikTok videos? And I actually like used it in another video. It was like warning label.
You did.
I did use that. I was like, wait, I think you said something about this.
And I remember getting so excited and kind of like geeking out. And I ran to my husband. I'm like, oh my God, she made a TikTok about what I said. I was like, she must like me.
Like you guys like come up with things that like I'm like, oh damn, why didn't I think of that? I need to use this. This is amazing. Everyone needs to hear this. Probably why this podcast now, but
no, I remember saying that. I remember saying like it should be on the warning label. May come with, increased confidence, sass, and overall badassery.
Okay, well that's I'm gonna just redo another video with that and I'm gonna use that again. I'm like, I need new marketing stuff. Here it is. We'll just bring it back around.
Don't worry. Like, just reach out to your fellow Valkyries. Like, we will come up with stuff for you to, like, we will selflessly promote you.
You all are incredible with just promoting. I'm like, why do I TikTok anymore? You will do it for me.
I know Mia's on there a lot, and I watch her videos, and I love it.
Yes. Mia's always, but I love, like, people are like, oh, I'm going to this event this weekend. I'm talking about Valkyrie Squad. I'm doing this. I'm like, what do I do anymore?
The fact that you mentioned that, in October, my husband and I are going to the Renaissance Festival. And we've been there before, but they're doing like a Halloween one. And I convinced my husband to dress up, which is a very real thing. My husband was always like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I'll go, but I'm not dressing up. And I convinced him to dress up this year because I want to compete in their Halloween competition. And we're going as Nesta and Cassian. So I'm like in the process of like gathering bits and pieces for my costume. So it's funny that you mentioned that because I probably will be making TikToks and, you know, just sliding in like the Valkyrie Squad in all of my TikToks and social media posts.
So I think it was last week, I made like referral cards for someone because they were going to an event. And so it has like our QR code and a link to the podcast so they could pass them out so that they're not like, we'll have to like have this file be public so people can like make their own.
We can just whip them out of our pocket, like, you know, become a Valkyrie today.
I think it was Val that said it was like, have you met our Lord in Valkyrie? Like, Sam, I cannot.
Have you met our Mother of Valkyries? She's our saint of badassery and confidence and sass.
Oh my god. I just can't.
It's just like, well, in Sam we pray, we bow our head. Give us today our daily sass and spice.
Well, obviously you're Catholic too, as an Irish Scottish.
I was. Sadly, I'm a pagan, but no, I can still say that. You know, in our Savior Sam we pray. She delivers us from toxic culture.
I can see the Discord chat now. The whole parody prayer that's going to come out of this.
Oh, I can see it now.
Oh my god, I can only hear what other people are saying. Be like, oh, it really is a cult.
It's a fun one, though. Come to the dark side. We have swords.
It's like, what else more do you need? There's puns, there's swords, there's cookies.
Great friendships to be had.
Yes. All fun, all around.
I always say this, I'm like, I think I broke Sam.
There are some of you, I cannot. I'm just like, I retire. Why do I TikTok? Why do I market? I'm just gonna be here. You guys all take over.
I'm sure we all would. We will selflessly promote you to the end of time.
It's so funny. Like, hearing everyone's stories, like, oh, I met somebody. I'm like, that like knows of your TikTok, and like, I have yet to come across someone who's like, I know you, but you all have met people that are like, oh, I follow her too. Oh, I've been thinking about the program. I'm like, I don't get any of this. It's fine because I would probably like shrivel up into something. Be like, I don't know what's happening.
You have to own that. Just the fact that you are the mother of Valkyries and you are just this badass, awesome person that we follow. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you called us into battle, all of us would grab our weapons and we'd be like, when and where, Sam? When and where?
I can't like tell any of you certain things that happen in my life, or else I know like it would just be a whole like slew of things that come out, and I'm like, no, stand down. It's just okay. It's fine.
I feel like we're all like that towards each other, though. If anybody posts like something on the Discord that like if anybody had a bad day or somebody was mean to them, we're just like, when and where? When and where? Like, we will stand for you. And I think Mia has done it for me. She has huge mama bear energy, and I love it. And I remember, like, saying something, like, along the lines of, like, I was getting ready for a trip, and somebody had, like, mentioned to me, like, oh, who works out while they're on vacation? And Mia's just like, you do, and you're awesome, and don't be mad for it, and you're just awesome, and I will find that person.
Yes, I remember all of this.
And I'm just like, oh, I feel so loved.
Yeah, you all are just so incredible. I love, like, I've been a little bit quiet in there lately, but like I love watching and reading everyone supporting everyone, and everyone that's new that comes in. They're like, you all are just there. You're ready and you're on it. And I'm so amazed. It's more than I could have ever dreamed of, like, happening.
I kind of envy the new people who walk into this program, because I would love to, like, and people say it with books, but like I would love to like walk into this like fresh and new again and just experience it all over again. And I'm just like, oh, just strap in, Valkyries. Like, you are in for a ride, and it is a treat, and you're gonna love it. And you're gonna walk out of this program with so much more than you ever thought you were going to. It is not a program, it is a lifestyle, and you will hold it with you forever.
I love that.
It's your fault. You did it.
I know. I'm sorry.
I blame you 100%.
That's okay.
She's like, I take all of the blame. I take it all.
I take all the blame because I also, like you said, you have like down the bond, you know, when I need to be like brought up, just some magical force. I always know when you all are cursing me or about to like cry from my workouts. Like, I just know. I always know, and it brings me joy when you're like, that was really hard.
Uh-huh. Oh, I see. I can hear like the sadistic little laugh in the background when we're like, that workout today was really spicy, and you're like, hee hee hee. But wait, there's more.
I feel so bad for everyone that's like in like week 1 or 2 of novice, and I'm like, do I post my little evil gif or do I not? Do they know that I'm joking, but I'm not? Do they understand that that's my humor yet? Like, I don't want them to think I'm an asshole, but I am an asshole.
You hurt us because you care.
I do. I'm like, oh, you're doing it right. Good job.
You're like, it hurts good. It's supposed to.
As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters.
Well, that was like the TikTok that you made. Like, you're gonna suffer, but you're gonna be happy about it. And I was like, yes. There's like been many a times like I've limped up the stairs because my gym is in my basement, and like I've limped up the stairs, and my husband's like, how was your workout today? And I'm like, it hurts. I'm like, my legs. Oh my god, my legs. And he's just like, oh, okay, so it was a good day then. I'm like, yeah, it's good. I cursed Sam at least 9 times, but I kept going.
Her ears are burning, but it's fine. She loves me, I think. So we do need to wrap this up. I've had so much fun chatting with you, and it just felt like a normal hangout. I love it.
I've loved it too.
So for everyone listening, you all know, or I hope you know at this point, we have Cauldron Blessed Wisdom, and today it's coming from Megan, so take it away.
I would like to just remind everybody that you are stronger than you think you are. If you suffer from PCOS, endometriosis, anxiety, depression, or anything that's going to inhibit you in any way, they have the power to trick you into thinking that you're not pretty, you're not smart, you're not worth it, or a long list of other negative thoughts that it will hit you with. But you have to remember that this is your battlefield, and some fights are going to be easier than others. Some days the win is going to be getting out of bed, and even though that is a small victory, it's a win. Just always remember that you're a Valkyrie, you're a badass, you're worth it, and every day is a good day. I want you to stand in front of a mirror for 10 minutes. This came to me, ironically, from a therapist, but it's going to sound weird, but it's more effective if you do it naked. Just bear with me. Trust the process. I want you to really look at your body, and for every negative thing you have to think about yourself, I want you to say 2 things that you love. And it could be you love your laugh or you love your eye color. It doesn't always have to be something physical. But we need to start being kinder to ourselves, and the best way to do that is to face the mirror. Eventually, we can train our minds, similar to mind stilling, to follow a more positive way of thinking and try to drown out the negative ones. So hopefully we can get out there and live our life and not let body image hold us back.
That was wisdom so worthy of the cereal.
I have the tea.
Always the tea. These interviews should really just be tea time. Let's just be real. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Megan.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. This was so much fun. It's such a fun chat. And to all you listeners, until next time, be strong, kick ass, and be fucking magical. This episode was produced by Bex Castro, Mia Garlock, and Carolyn McMorrin. And a special thanks to Valkyrie Megan for coming on this podcast. You can connect with her on TikTok at VetTechValkyrie. Special thank you to Taylor Ash for creating the music of this podcast. And thanks for listening to The Sword and the Ribbon by the Micro Squad. If you're interested in learning more about the Valkyrie Squad, visit us at thevalkyriesquad.com. If you're interested in learning more about the Micro Squad or Geek Gym for a class, visit us at themicrosquad.com. Make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you get your podcasts from so you don't miss out. And if you like this week's episode, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.